There's been a lot of buzz around XRP lately. The cryptocurrency has gone on quite a run since the election. On election night, XRP was worth 51 cents. It's currently sitting around $2.49 just over a month later. And a lot of people are asking themselves, is it time to get a little bit of XRP in my pocket? Now, I try to keep this channel mostly related to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is my main focus. That's the only cryptocurrency that I'm personally invested in, and that's really kind of my passion. That's why I created the channel. However, with all the buzz around XRP, I want to dig into it a little bit and see why people are so obsessed with this cryptocurrency and why people see long-term value in it. After doing some research on XRP, I don't really see long-term value in the cryptocurrency. I think that in the long term, this cryptocurrency is going to be worthless, but I'm going to get into why I think that. I'm going to get into some of the negatives I see with XRP, as well as some of the pros of XRP. Before I do get into the video, please make sure to like the video and also subscribe so I can get this channel booming heading into 2025. I think 2025 is going to be a great year, and it's going to be a great year for the Learn About Bit channel. So make sure to ride with me, hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into some XRP. Now, why do I think that XRP doesn't really have any long-term value? My main concern with XRP is that it is centralized. So let's get into some of the ways in which I see it being centralized. The first main and obvious way that XRP is centralized, and you can figure this out by just doing half an hour of research, is that Ripple Labs, the creator of XRP, owns most of the supply. They hold most of the supply in escrow. As of December 2024, Ripple Labs holds 39 billion XRP in escrow. Now there's 100 billion XRP. That is the total supply. And I believe that they can't increase the supply from what I saw on the web, which is a good quality, right? We want a limited supply in a money, but the fact that they have 39 billion XRP in escrow, and then they also have 4.69 billion XRP in operational wallets. Ripple basically has half of the supply, and that's a huge concern, right? We want a money that is not controlled by one entity, one group or party, and it seems like Ripple pretty much has control over the supply as of now. Now, they claim that they do this to basically monitor the money, and they're going to let the supply flow into the market over time, but that's not what we want. That's kind of like the existing system that we have with fiat currency, where the government controls the supply and they can increase the supply or take the supply away. That's kind of what it looks like here with XRP. So that's a huge red flag to me. And that's kind of like the dream with a lot of these cryptocurrency developers, is they create a cryptocurrency and they own most of the supply. And basically, as the price goes up for their cryptocurrency, they can then shed off that supply and get rich from it. To me, it just kind of seems like a little scammy in that way. The other way in which XRP seems centralized to me is when we look at the validation process for validating, approving transactions, and updating the XRP ledger. XRP doesn't use proof of work like Bitcoin or proof of stake like a lot of these other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum. They kind of have their own consensus protocol, and you could say it's somewhat democratic, but I believe that Ripple Labs has kind of heavily influenced this process. Basically, how XRP's validation process works is they have these validator nodes within the network, and in order for transactions to be validated or for updates to happen to the XRP ledger, the validator nodes need to reach 80% consensus. So unlike Bitcoin, where the nodes have to reach 50% consensus for changes to be made to the network, right? They have to, 51% of the nodes have to agree with XRP, 80% of the validator nodes have to agree on a set of transactions before they're approved or for any other changes that can be made to the ledger, from my understanding. Now, in 2012, when XRP was released, Ripple Labs controlled the majority of these validator nodes, which is a big problem. If the entity that created the cryptocurrency is controlling the validation process, then that is clearly centralized. That's no different than what we see with government issued currency, where the creators of that money control the whole process. Now, over time, we have seen this validation process and these validator nodes get a little bit less centralized. Anyone can run an XRP validator node, which is great. And currently, I believe Ripple Labs only controls somewhere under 10% of the validator nodes out there. When I was doing my research, I saw like somewhere between 3% and 6%, which is good, right? This means that they have created somewhat of a democratic process for validating transactions and updating the ledger. XRP's validation software is open source, which means that anyone can access, audit, modify, or contribute to its code base, and Ripple cannot impose changes on the network of validator nodes, from my understanding. However, this validation process is kind of weird. They have something that's called a unique node list, and basically, validator nodes are able to select their other validator nodes that they want to work with in reaching consensus for approving transactions. And I know that sounds a little bit complex and confusing, and it's still something that I'm not like super clear on, but basically, Ripple recommends this unique node list of these validator nodes, which means that they do have some influence there when it comes to validating transactions. They can recommend the validator nodes they want. But from my understanding, anyone that runs an XRP validator node can select their own unique node list. It seems like XRP's validation process is becoming less centralized over time as we see separate entities come into the XRP space and run their own validator node, and we see the number of validator nodes controlled by Ripple Labs. We see that percentage head down. However, Ripple Labs still has significant influence when it comes to this validation process. And I also worry that this validation process could be corrupted. We could see malicious actors come into the space. We could see Ripple gain more influence and more power over time. I'm not exactly sure how that would play out, but to me, it just seems like it's not the most decentralized process. It's definitely not as decentralized as the proof of work protocol that we see with Bitcoin. Now, I've talked about some of the centralization issues that I see with XRP. Ripple Labs controls the XRP supply, and they have significant influence when it comes to the validation process, updating the XRP ledger. But let's get into what the use case for XRP is. What is XRP trying to be? What is its function? From what I've seen on the web, XRP's goal is to be a fast, efficient, and low-cost payment system. XRP has low fees, and they also have fast settlement. Their transactions settle in a couple of seconds. This is different than the Bitcoin network, where we know we have higher fees when we have more volume. When we have more people looking to send transactions on the Bitcoin network, we see the fees go higher, and we see transaction times take longer. People are also able to build on top of XRP. They can build custom tokens, decentralized applications, NFTs, smart contracts, and XRP is also energy efficient. This is one of their big pros that they claim, is that since the supply is pre-mined, they don't have this energy intensive proof of work process that we see with Bitcoin. Now, XRP is a fast, efficient, and low cost payment system, low fees, fast transaction settlement. It sounds great, right? But there are a couple of problems with this, and a couple of problems that lead me to believe that XRP doesn't really have any value in the future. One of the main problems is that this is what half of these cryptocurrencies are trying to do. They're all trying to be their own fast, low cost payment network, but we're not going to have thousands and thousands of cryptocurrencies in the future. XRP is competing with stable coins, things like Tether and USD coin, and it's also competing with all these cryptocurrencies. Some examples are Stellar Lumens, Algorand. All these cryptocurrencies are trying to create their own payment network. But the problem with all these cryptocurrencies is that they're centralized. I just talked about how XRP is heavily influenced by Ripple Labs, and Ripple Labs owns most of the supply. And this is the case with many of these cryptocurrencies. Really, what we need is a decentralized base layer for money. To me, the problem with money is people trying to control it, people being in charge. Cryptocurrency seems like the innovation because it's this new and exciting technology, but really the innovation is decentralization. And this is what people miss. They see all the shiny cryptocurrencies and they get intrigued by it. But really, most of these cryptocurrencies, 99% of them, are pretty centralized in one way or another. They claim to be decentralized, but they're really not. I just went over how XRP is pretty centralized. When we look at a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Bitcoin has achieved decentralization, or at least it seems that way. It is the most decentralized cryptocurrency out there, and that's why I'm putting my chips on Bitcoin. Now, before I get into why Bitcoin is going to probably eat XRP and other cryptocurrencies, let me just re-emphasize that XRP is competing with all these stable coins, all these other cryptocurrencies that are trying to be their own payment network. And it's probably not going to happen because of all that competition. And also because I see payment networks being built on top of Bitcoin. So let's get into that. When we look at the existing fiat system, it is a heavily centralized system. We have all these government issued currencies where the governments control the supply of the currency. They make the rules and they pretty much monitor the whole system. And this is why money is so messed up. This is why money continues to lose its value over time. And really, fiat currencies have been weaponized by governments and they've been used as a tool to basically redistribute wealth among their population. So to me, we really need to fix the base layer of money to have a better monetary system. And this is where Bitcoin comes into play. Because Bitcoin is a decentralized system where it's controlled by the individuals rather than a government or one large entity, this is a better system for the base layer of society. We have a fixed supply of Bitcoin. We have a decentralized validation process with the proof of work protocol. And I believe as we move into the future, people are going to build on top of Bitcoin. One of the main problems that people see with Bitcoin is that it can't scale to be the world currency. The more people use the Bitcoin network and the more people transact on the Bitcoin network, the slower settlement times get and the higher these transaction fees get. And they're right. There are higher fees the more congested the network gets, and we're not going to be able to all use the base layer of Bitcoin to transact in the future. But the great part about Bitcoin is that we can build on top of it. It can be the base layer, kind of how like it was with the gold standard, where gold was underpinning the whole system. Bitcoin can underpin the future monetary system. And we're seeing people building on Bitcoin right now with things like the Lightning Network. So although it takes longer for payments to settle on the base layer and there's higher fees, people can use the Lightning Network on top of Bitcoin and there's faster settlement, lower fees. And this is what I think the future is going to look like. When we look at XRP, you may think, hey, there's faster settlement and it is lower fees. But the problem with XRP is that it's its own centralized system, and it doesn't really fix that problem that we have in the fiat system. So I don't think we're going to see payment networks alongside Bitcoin. I think we're going to see payment networks built on top of Bitcoin, and payment networks that are trying to do their own thing and not build on top of the Bitcoin network, like XRP or Stellar Lumens or a lot of these other cryptocurrencies. I just see them getting washed out over time as everyone moves on top of the Bitcoin network. If we could build a system like XRP with low cost and fast settlement on top of Bitcoin, then why do we need XRP, a centralized system outside of Bitcoin? So, this is really the main reason why I don't see value in XRP long term, and really most of the cryptocurrencies. I think if you're not building on top of Bitcoin, the base layer, you are just going to see people leave your network over time as they realize what's happening and more people move on top of the Bitcoin network. This is why I see way more value in buying and holding Bitcoin than messing around with any of these other cryptocurrencies. Because if Bitcoin is going to be the decentralized base layer of money, there's going to be nothing more valuable than that. And I want as much of that base layer as I can get. Now, if I were to ever go off and invest in another cryptocurrency, it would probably be a cryptocurrency that was built on top of the Bitcoin network, something that was above the Bitcoin network. So those are my thoughts on XRP. Long term, I think that XRP will fail because it is pretty centralized and it's a payment system outside of the Bitcoin network. I think that Bitcoin is going to eat all those payment systems trying to build alongside it up, and the payment systems that are going to succeed and thrive are going to be the systems built on top of Bitcoin. Now, no doubt XRP has gone on quite a run recently. Obviously, the election has a lot to do with that, with all the positive sentiment around the cryptocurrency space with this new administration coming in. We've also seen good news for XRP when it comes to the SEC. We know that the SEC and XRP have had issues over the past couple of years. There's been a lawsuit against XRP from the SEC, with Gary Gensler stepping down and XRP winning their court case against the SEC a while back. I believe the SEC is actually in the process of appealing this decision, but it looks like XRP may hold on to the win. This has definitely provided some positive sentiment to the XRP space. And I believe that when we saw Gary Gensler step down, we saw XRP head higher. So this seems like this is a big factor behind this recent run in the cryptocurrency. We will see what happens in the short term. Long term, I don't think XRP is going to have any value, but who knows? We will probably see cryptocurrencies continue to rally with the positive sentiment around the space and with the dollar continuing to devalue as we see the supply increase, as we see inflation head higher. If you disagree with me on anything about XRP, or if there's something I overlooked in this video, please let me know. Drop down in the comments and I'd be happy to chat with you. If you didn't like and subscribe, please make sure to do that now. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon.